What's going on, guys? Welcome back. Thank you for watching. Today we've got the Kriss Vector. It's like Call of Duty subgun week here on the channel. We just did the PS90 a few days ago, and now we've got this bad boy. And I'm not sure which one is cooler, to be honest. Let me know what you'd rather have in the comments. Now, this Kriss Vector is a 45 ACP, the caliber that single-handedly won 2 world wars. Not really, but it is quite a bit more powerful than the little 5.7 that the P90 shoots. And this is another one of my all-time favorite looking guns. It just looks about as good as anything ever made, in my opinion. And we all know when guns look cool, they're a lot more fun to shoot. So let's get started. So like I said, this is a 45 ACP. They do make these in other calibers as well, quite a few other calibers actually, but I believe 45 was the original. And I don't know about you, but when I hear Kriss Vector, I just think 45 ACP. It's also a good caliber for the way this gun is designed, and you'll see why when we shoot it. It's a small little gun at first glance. It almost looks like a bullpup, but it's not because the chamber and the action are in front of the trigger guard. This one is a pistol, so it has a 5-inch barrel. It also takes Glock magazines, which is always a good thing. Mag releases right there, charging handle, bolt release, safety, folding brace, and I think that's about it. The Kriss Vector is a very well-made gun, in my opinion. It's also very unique in the way it functions, which I'll show you here in a minute. And by the way, I already know a real full-auto Kriss Vector would be much cooler. You don't have to tell me. I'm working on something as we speak, so hopefully soon we'll start getting some cooler stuff on the channel. But I actually get comments quite a bit from people saying they like the fact that I shoot the stuff you can actually get, as opposed to some of the bigger channels that don't. Trust me, it is not by choice. I would much rather be shooting RPGs and machine guns every day. Hopefully soon, but let's try this one. It feels so good. Wow. Okay, I brought the camera around to my other side so you can actually see the ejection pattern on this thing. That's one downside to being a lefty. The ejection port is never facing the camera. And it doesn't look as cool that way, so here you go. The recoil is so soft on this thing. I love it. Well, the ejection pattern looks good to me. I don't know if that really matters as long as it cycles. I really don't care, but some people do pay attention to that stuff. As you can see, it does lock the bolt back on the last round, which is good. And the thing that sticks out to me with the Kriss Vector is the recoil. For a 45 ACP, this thing feels amazing. All right, let's see if we can actually hit some targets with this thing. I'm gonna shoot it right-handed, so if I miss, I have a built-in excuse, but let's go for it. Man. Whew. I think I have a new favorite subgun, boys. This thing freaking rules. Now, earlier you heard me talk about the uniqueness of the Kriss Vector design, and a lot of that is due to the recoil system. It's also why the gun is shaped the way it is. So typically with most guns, when you fire a round, the bolt and carrier group travel directly to the rear using a recoil spring of some sort. That doesn't necessarily cause recoil, obviously the bullet does, but it does contribute to it when you have heavy parts slamming into the back of the receiver like that. The Kriss Vector, on the other hand, uses an off-axis downward traveling recoil spring that rides along this channel right here. So when you fire this one, the bolt comes back a little bit and then curves down into that channel. And instead of having parts slamming back and forth, they're kind of going up and down like that. and it was designed that way to counteract recoil and help stabilize the gun. Now, I will say in semi-auto, it works very well. I've shot one of these in full auto before, and it still moves on you quite a bit because the rate of fire is just so absurdly fast. But in semi-auto, it makes this 45 PCC feel more like a 9mm to me. All right, now I want to do a little recoil experiment. This is an MP5 clone. It's similar size, barrel length, and weight to the Kriss Vector, but this is a 9mm. I want to compare a roller delayed blowback 9mm subgun to the futuristic off-axis design of the Kriss Vector. Obviously, this one should have substantially less recoil, so let's see. Okay, and the 45 ACP Kriss Vector with the weird curved recoil spring. Usually a 45 would have about twice the recoil of a 9mm, so let's see. There's no difference. Yeah, it might be a little bit louder, but as far as the recoil goes, they feel basically identical. And again, this only applies to the semi-auto version. I have shot the real submachine gun full auto Kriss Vector one time in my life, and it was not quite as easy to control. I think it's just the rate of fire is so absurdly fast that it does still move on you quite a bit. But with the semi-auto version, it is a dream. All right, well, we don't have nothing too crazy to shoot, but let's see what the Kriss Vector will do to a coconut. This is a big ass coconut too. And for this one, we're gonna shoot a 185 grain plus P hollow point. I think this is the first hollow point we've ever shot out of the Kriss Vector, so. Let's see what it does to our coconut. I have shot coconuts probably 10 to 15 times, and I have never seen them explode like that. They usually just poke holes through them, and you can kind of look at the damage. There's the result. It's gone. Well, this is the biggest piece I was able to find. It's probably a quarter of it at the most, and there's not really much to look at. So, there you go. Well, I've got 2 more coconuts and some leftover sodas from last week's video, and after that, I'm definitely going to use the same ammo. If you're curious, these are 180 grain plus P hollow points from Underwood. They were sent to us by Turtle Lake Tactical a couple years ago, and apparently they're like the world's best 45. Let's take them out. We'll start with the coconuts. That is so crazy, dude. Whew. For Christmas, I am asking Santa Claus for a Kriss Vector in every color. And select fire, of course. Another thing I really like to do with these PCCs, especially slow calibers like the 45, is try to shoot targets at long range, because the time it takes the bullet to get to the target is just hilarious to me. So we're gonna go out to as far as we can go on this range, about 150 yards, and we'll see how we do. Okay, we're at about 130, not quite 150. The targets are right there. You can probably see the backstop, and the 45 ACP is only going about 1,000 feet per second. Pretty slow, even for a handgun round, so. It should take a little bit to get there. Let's see if we can hit the target. I'm gonna use this tree to help me stabilize the gun. And hopefully we can hit it. My dot is basically covering the entire target. Very first shot. Let's try one offhand without using the tree. Man, so I'm aiming like 6 inches above that target at 130 yards. The 45 is a really heavy bullet, obviously going pretty slow, so it drops quite a bit before it gets there, but we did it. All right, now I have a little propane can on our table at 130 yards. I'm not 22 man or nothing, but well, let's see if we can hit it. To be honest, with the 45 at this distance, I'm not even sure if it will puncture that thing, but we'll try it. It is so tiny this far away. Yo! Very first shot. I literally held like a whole foot above that thing and just pulled the trigger and prayed for the best, and it actually hit it. That is sweet. Dude. I feel like a sniper with this thing. And here's the propane can. It got shot about 30 feet from our table at least. And that hit was dead center. Okay. Still some left in there. You can see the exit hole right there. And there's our entrance hole. That is pretty sweet. All right, guys, I hope that you all enjoyed the Kriss Vector 45 ACP as much as I did. Like I said, I have made a video on one of these before, but it's been so long ago, I really don't remember it at this point. But man, this thing is freaking sweet. It's honestly tough to say that this is not my favorite subgun ever, because it is very cool, looks great, works flawless, and it's very effective, as we saw. So Kriss Vector's rule. That's about all I have to say. Hope y'all enjoyed the video. If you did, please hit the like button for me, guys. I'd really appreciate it. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you next time.